It's all too easy to blame yourself for what has happened. Be that, oh, I wish I said something, but you shouldn't have had to say something because it should have never happened in the first place. Despite what you tell yourself, I can tell you, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the comment section and within this community will tell you, it is not your fault and there's nothing you could have done to stop it. But what we can do is we can work together to prevent things like this from happening again. Here we are. It's a Thursday. That's a lie. It's not a Thursday, but if you're watching this video, it is a Thursday. And we're going to talk about some bits and bobs. So I wasn't actually going to do this video today. I actually had another video planned, which is obviously now being pushed back to Monday. A few things popped up in the industry yesterday. I spoke to Sarah, Austin, some of the other Discord mods, and we kind of agreed, you know, probably worth bringing this up now, because it's something that needs to be discussed, and it very much follows on from a video I did a few months ago, which was when I covered Bret Contreras. But unfortunately, a few more things have popped up, not necessarily speaking about him, but another content creator and their apparent actions, we shall say, and their apparent behaviours. Again, I'm saying apparent because with all my videos, I'm merely speaking on opinion, based on what I have learned, what I've observed, and what I have been shown. I'm never stating that what I'm discussing is fact, it is merely my opinion, and I strongly encourage you to have a look at potential evidence, potential research, whatever it may be, and form your own opinion. Like I said, it goes on to apparent behaviours of another content creator, and to be honest, it actually goes a lot deeper than that. I think it goes very much into a bigger issue within the industry, which has been lingering for a while, which I thought this would be a really great opportunity to speak about. We've got the disclaimer out of the way, but now I want to cover a couple more things. There's no like, comment, share, subscribe stuff on this video. All I ask from you from this video is you merely just listen. As you could probably guess, a lot of the topics being addressed are going to be quite triggering. I'm throwing a trigger warning out there now. If it negatively impacts you, your mental health, or how you feel about yourself or other people, please do not consume this content. I understand that you may be here supporting me by watching this video. Support yourself first, worry about me later. The fact that you've even made it this far is more support than I could ever ask for, and I can't thank you enough. But like I said, prioritize you, your mental health and your happiness. Focus on doing what's best for you. For you. Again, there's going to be no hat in this video because I don't think it's particularly appropriate. Forgive how bright the screen is. As we know, I am bloody pale and it's somewhat embarrassing, but it's winter. I was actually recently sent this video by an individual named Adam Wright Fitness, in which he speaks about the situation. So we're going to cover a couple of bits of it. I'm not going to show you the whole video. If you do want to see the whole video, please go to his page. It's a fantastic video and I appreciate it a lot.
How would you feel if you were working with a male personal trainer and one day they sent you an unsolicited video of their private anatomy? Inappropriate, to say the least, right? Now imagine that that personal trainer was actually a fitness influencer with over 1 million followers. And that inappropriate video, the one that's so explicit that I have to censor it here because I'm worried it might get my video taken down?
I never go viral. I don't know what to do, so it's this.
Sorry to expose you, Ryan. No pun intended. But if you're not going viral, maybe you should just make better videos instead of asking your followers about their kinks. Or maybe people just got tired of seeing you repeatedly be way too handsy with your clients. Like, way too handsy. Ryan. Way too handsy.
This is the situation, and understandably based on what you've seen, it's caused a conversation. Individuals such as Sohi Fit have spoken about it, who obviously was very much involved in the whole Bret Contreras situation. And it kind of got me questioning. It's becoming more and more concerning how often things like this are arising, and how often a lot of influencers and content creators within the fitness industry are engaging in similar behaviours. And the sad reality is, and this became very much apparent from the video I did on Bret a few months ago, is how many individuals kind of brush this under the rug. And I say that because a few of the comments I got on the Bret video were very much saying how they don't see him do anything wrong, they think I'm being oversensitive, they think the audience that are upset by his behaviours were being oversensitive, they feel like I'm approaching this from like a white knight standpoint, like I'm trying to be a better person than I actually am, trying to appeal to more people by talking about issues I don't really care about, things along those lines. If it was an issue I didn't care about, I wouldn't speak about it, but this is very much an issue I do care about, and unfortunately this is very much an issue that is very prominent within the fitness industry. And this is not isolating these two individuals being Bret and Ryan. This speaks about a lot of creators in the industry, a lot of personal trainers within the industry who are behaving in such a manner. As you see throughout the video, there's a lot of unnecessary physical contact. And that's the first point I want to bring up today, is physical contact. So realistically, the vibe I get get from these individuals. And no, this is not me trying to flex like, oh, I've got a psychology master's, so let me psychoanalyze people. I'm not trying to do that whatsoever. I'm merely forming an opinion and assumption based on the behaviours I'm exposed to. I'm exposed to these behaviours, therefore I'm going to form said opinion and assumption based on what I have seen. The issue I have with this is you see people of influential power who are now utilising that power and capitalising on that power to then lure people into their presence, be that through training, whatever it may be, and then when they're in their presence, potentially manipulating them and behaving extremely inappropriately around them. And then you get people coming backlash saying, why are they letting them do it? Why are they doing this? Well, you have to understand is that when you're put in that position where you have some creator that you potentially deem to be maybe superior to you because they've got 1.2 million followers, what an opportunity to train with a creator of such caliber. Oftentimes I feel like victims may find it very difficult to speak out about these issues because of the potential backlash they may get. Again, this is very much shown throughout the Brett Contreras video. So people saying you're oversensitive, you're this, victim blaming to a certain degree. So that's one hesitation people may have. Another hesitation, it could be fear. When you're in this situation where a content creator that you maybe respect and is widely respected within the industry, well, must be if they've got over 1 million followers, is behaving inappropriately around you, you're scared of how your behaviours may influence their behaviours. If you turn around and say, I don't like this, it's not right, I think there's a big fear that can come around not knowing how they're going to react if you tell them to stop, not knowing if telling them to stop is going to help anything, and not knowing how their audience will react if you tell them to stop. And sometimes you don't identify there's a problem until after the issue has occurred, when you look back and you reflect and think, hang about. Now I've seen it from a camera angle, I didn't realise it was quite like that. Now I'm away from the moment, actually that made me feel really uncomfortable. And a lot of people unfortunately may feel like their behaviours, where they do feel uncomfortable in these situations, isn't justified, because a lot of fitness professionals will use their profession as an excuse to touch you unnecessarily. I think ultimately when there is any physical contact involved, consent needs to be obtained. Once the consent is obtained, you then have to consider what's appropriate touching and what's inappropriate touching. If, for example, you're doing a row-based movement and they're trying to encourage you to retract your scapula by essentially saying, let's say, pinch my finger between your shoulder blades sort of thing, upon getting consent, a bit more understandable. If you're doing a squat and they're grabbing your bottom, saying, squeeze your glutes, maybe not so appropriate. And let's compare these two content creators side by side. Brett from the previous video and Ryan from this video. What's the one thing that they share, other than both being men, what's the one thing their platform thrives on, which is a common denominator between the two? And that's both the fact that they emphasize and prioritize and maybe even only potentially train women. I think when you are a man, as a PT who only trains women and builds up your brand on the training of women, I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but I am saying that it does cause some questions. It can be deemed problematic, and then when you behave in such a manner as we have seen today, and then unfortunately you kind of risk proving those questions right and identifying that actually what you are doing is problematic, and maybe you are targeting women for a reason outside training. And I know a few of you are questioning, but Harry, you speak about these men who only train women being potentially problematic. Doesn't your channel primarily focus on the critique, analysis and commentary of content targeting women, and also content creators who are primarily women? And that is absolutely true. You are 100% correct. I did not come into this with the mindset of I'm going to create a YouTube channel and I want that YouTube channel to be 91% women. I just started creating content that I enjoyed. It used to be a bit more training focused, then I started noticing a few issues popping up in the industry and I would have people ask me for my opinions and things. I thought, you know what great opportunity to speak about it. Let's use the platform I have, which is essentially what I'm doing now. Unintentionally, the primary demographic of my YouTube channel became women. Do I have an issue with that? Absolutely not. I think it's an absolute privilege and an honour to be a man who is trusted by women in the realm of fitness. I feel like that trust is built on how I behave and how I identify problems. My audience is not built on me capitalising sexually on touching people inappropriately, making inappropriate comments to people, thriving on like returning favours in a sexual manner. My channel is built on debunking misinformation, respecting the fact that all content creators, whether I agree with their opinion or not, are doing something that is benefiting others. I will always respect that. And my channel is built on providing what I deem to be a science-based approach to fitness and training that is easily digested, be that for beginners, intermediate or advanced consumers. I never intended for my channel to be primarily women, but I'm certainly not upset about that. In fact, I'm extremely proud of that because I could not ask for a more supportive community, and I could not thank all of you who watch my video and tolerate my content enough for the amount of support you do show me and the amount of support you show other people. The difference between myself and these other content creators is something called boundaries and respect. I'm not using my platform to capitalize on people inappropriately. My content will never be heavily sexualized like Ryan and Brett's. My content will never thrive on my physique and what I look look like, because to be honest, I want my content to be built not on my appearance and my aesthetic, hence why a lot of you don't actually know what I look like unless you look elsewhere, but I want my content to be built on who I am as an individual, how I approach topics, and my knowledge and the information I have surrounding things fitness and psychology related, as those are my two primary areas of interest, we'll say. If you do see behaviours like this in the gym, wherever it may be, other personal trainers, not just these two individuals, but personal trainers in general, but if you do see them behaving inappropriately, what do you do? I understand that it can be very intimidating and quite scary trying to approach them directly, but what you can do is highlight the issue to a member of staff. So if you're in the gym, you see a personal trainer behaving inappropriately, it may be worth going to another member of staff or even the manager and just say, I've just noticed this behaviour, I'm not sure if consent was given or not, it just made me feel a bit uncomfortable and I just thought you should be made aware of it. I understand that it can be quite hard to speak up about these issues. If they aren't spoken about, they will continue, unfortunately. It's when things like this pop up, they need to be addressed, which is why I really appreciate that both Sohi and Adam, as well as a lot of other creators, have addressed these issues when it came to Brett, Ryan, whoever it may be. So I've got a lot of time and a lot of love for these individuals. And maybe if you don't feel comfortable raising the issue, maybe you have a friend who would feel comfortable. I don't want to deter any of you from going down the PT route, because I think PTs can be fantastic. And again, this does not apply to all PTs. This is merely me talking about a couple of examples, being Brett and Ryan. Although this behaviour is not displayed by everybody, it is displayed by too many, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Bits and bobs that were relevant to the contents of this video have been shown throughout, so hopefully you had time to stop, read and digest what was being shown to you. But now let's talk about a couple of things before we kind of end the video. Let's talk about red flags in a personal trainer. Excessive physical contact. If you need to touch a client, consent must be given, and even if you do have consent, consent does not warrant inappropriate physical contact. Another potential red flag would be content like this, where the PT is maybe exposing themselves a bit online because maybe their content and their fitness knowledge is lacking and they're looking for other means of trying to gain popularity. Another thing to consider is your PT asking for inappropriate images of you. Although I'm fully for like transformations, things along those lines, progress pictures, I don't think you need to be stripped nearly naked to do so. Again, if you feel comfortable doing so, that's completely up to you. But if a PT is encouraging you to get down into your pants to show your progress, I don't think that's necessary. I think ultimately progress can be seen with a lot more clothes on, and I feel like if your male PT is asking for something like that, there may be something to consider there. And the final point, which kind of goes away from these topics, is how do they train you? You see a lot of these PTs who essentially annihilate their clients, put them through training and they look like they're absolutely dead afterwards. They're putting them through 15 force reps at the end of every set. That's not necessary. There's a big difference between annihilation and optimization. Let's say your goals are muscle building. You take things close to, if not to, failure. You rarely, if ever, need to take them beyond failure. All that achieves is a mass amount of fatigue, and it makes you feel like you're working and achieving a lot more than you actually are, when in reality you're fatiguing yourself a lot more, but you're not really getting a mass stimulus response from that. So things like excessive force reps, not necessary. Things like excessive intensifiers, not necessary. Things like doing 40 set workouts, 50 rep sets, things along those lines, not necessary. Train hard, train with intensity, but don't annihilate, optimize instead. Then you flip around. What things should you look out for in a personal trainer? What are the good things about PTs? Essentially, I look for a PT who treats you and approaches you with respect. I look for a PT that understands and listens to you and doesn't push their goals onto you, but instead acknowledges your goals and then discusses with you the journey and how you're going to get there. I'd look for a PT who you can question and they have an answer to their question, and if they don't have the answer, they can admit that and say, you know what, I don't know. I look for a PT who can justify what they're doing and why they're doing it, because as I say many times before, if you can't justify what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it. I look for a PT who doesn't gain the majority of their fitness knowledge from sources online that aren't trustworthy, but instead gains a lot of their knowledge from science and academic papers. Things that are research driven and research supported, in which they can provide evidence for if necessary. Look at their testimonials. What do their other clients say about them? Look at them around the gym. How do other people interact with them? Not just clients, but other members, potentially friends as well. Do they respect other people? Are they respected? Do they treat other people well? Are they treated well? And the one thing I really must mention, which I really do hope you take away from this, God forbid you've ever been exposed to inappropriate behaviours like this. God forbid you've ever been a victim of an issue that has been mentioned throughout this video. I've said it before and I'll say it 100 times again, I am so sorry. Oftentimes it really is easy to blame yourself, especially when you have a lot of people online that could be potentially victim blaming. Please understand, that is not a reflection of you. That is a reflection of them. The behaviours you may have been exposed to was due to no fault of your own, but due to the fault of the individual who exposed you to those behaviours. It's all too easy to blame yourself for what has happened. Be that, oh, I wish I said something, but you shouldn't have had to say something because it should have never happened in the first place. Despite what you tell yourself, I can tell you, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the comment section and within this community will tell you, it is not your fault and there's nothing you could have done to stop it. But what we can do is we can work together to prevent things like this from happening again. So other individuals aren't subject to this behaviour. Other individuals aren't put into the position where they aren't feeling like they are to blame for what has happened. Where other individuals are comfortable coming out and speaking about what has happened to prevent the issue from happening again. The whole point of this community is to build a community where we support each other and we overcome issues and hindrances together as a team. Although I may receive a fair amount of hate for this video, as I did from the Brett video, that is absolutely fine with me, because it would be silly and irresponsible of me not to utilise my platform to speak about an issue that needs to be addressed. It's really not your fault, and let's work together as a team to prevent things like this from happening in the future. As with the Brett video, I've listed some appropriate resources underneath the chapters in the description below. If you want anybody to talk to, please don't hesitate to reach out and message me on Instagram. My platform is linked below, it's at the start of the video, it's probably on screen now. Although I may be a bit slow with replies, I assure you now I will reply to everybody as I always do, and I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to feel comfortable enough to message me about whatever it may be. If you want further support, we obviously have the TFNL Discord, in which we have a Need to Talk section. It is filled with a great community of fantastic people who are all supportive of each other and who also may have unfortunately shared similar experiences. And although it really is a shame, and although I know it doesn't change what has happened, sometimes it is nice to speak to people with similar experiences, despite how awful it must have been for all of you. There will be no comment question of the week today. I think the focus of the video needs to be the topic at hand, which is obviously inappropriate behaviours within the fitness industry, especially those displayed by men who target and potentially capitalise on women. There will be a comment question and there will be a hat during the next video. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for being part of a community that is far more supportive and far more positive than I could have ever asked for, and far more positive and supportive than I even deserve. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen.